We thought for this evening that we wouldn't have Larry make any announcements, so my whistle is just to make everybody listen. So I'm talking into this. Can you hear me now? All right. Okay, so we will turn the microphone over to Marty, all right?
Thank you, Debbie, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is an unusual moment in the history of the RBBA and an unusual moment in the history of Rancho Bernardo. It's a bittersweet moment. Sweet because we are honoring a gentleman who is probably the best loved member of our community today, Larry McIntyre. And it is also bitter because Larry is stepping down from the association that he co-founded a dozen years ago. And he is also cutting back on other community activities as well. But he's going to still be around, right? He's going to still be around. But he will not be moving at quite the hectic pace that he has set for the last 40 years. It was 1977 when Larry and Joyce escaped the harsh winters of Chicago and moved McIntyre Advertising Agency just down the street. At the same time, they bought a home off Rancho Bernardo Road because the kids, Cheryl and Scott, rhapsodized about having their own swimming pool. And many an idea for our community was generated sitting around that pool with a glass of Cabernet. One of Larry's first community ventures was launching the RB Chamber of Commerce back in 1980. He also founded the RB Historical Society, served as president of RB's 4th of July celebration, and helped stage our Thanksgiving luncheon since its inception 28 years ago. Over the years, Larry has worn many hats, but a part of each of those hats has always been an element of graphic design. Larry is a graduate of the Academy of Art in Chicago and has used those skills to design a myriad of brochures, flyers, websites, plaques, and logos for our community. Examples of his work are everywhere. You see them at the RBBA stickers on storefronts and auto windshields. You see them when you go to the Blue Sky Ecological Reserve. Every time the Historical Society sends out a newsletter, and when the Conservative Order for Good Government announces its monthly speaker, and during appeals for the RB Community Foundation, and when the Spirit of the Forest stages its 4th of July activities. Larry McIntyre's good works for others are woven into the fabric of our community. Several years after the RBBA was established, the 4 of us who founded it were gathered to discuss its progress, and we agreed that without Larry, the RBBA would never have gotten off the ground. One of Larry's first accomplishments was organizing and establishing the Savor RB, which brought together scores of food and beverage vendors for an annual taste of the town. The event was a success from day one, and just last month we held our 9th Savor RB, which was attended by 400 persons. Larry was the first to see the value of the RBBA sponsoring the honorary mayor contest when the RB Chamber discontinued it. And he was instrumental in establishing the RBBA's annual Christmas tree and menorah lighting, our Lunch and Learn educational program, the annual Bob Wells Great Rubber Ducky Race in Webb Park. What a wacky idea that turned out to work like a charm. As the RBBA approached 300 members several years ago, we realized that we needed a part-time executive director to guide the many facets of our burgeoning organization. Larry had been our longest-serving president, 4 years. He had been involved in every decision made for the organization since its inception, and had created our website, flyers, graphics, and almost everything else. So the choice was practically preordained that Larry would be our executive director. At this point, I need to explain how Larry was able to accomplish all this. It's because he has had a business partner since 1973 to share each project that he undertook. And that business partner is Joyce McIntyre. Together, they operated their advertising agency side by side until 1995, when it was sold. And together, they opened a small design firm. And they have been partners in marriage for 55 years. They sometimes call her the saint. When they met in Chicago, they were working for the same company. They didn't know each other. Larry would occasionally see a cute blonde sitting at her desk when the elevator that he was taking from the top floor opened on her floor. And the first time he saw Joyce, he said, "I'm going to ask her for a date." But shyness and perhaps fear of rejection prevented that from happening for some months. Finally, he summoned up the courage and invited her out. The date was for a funeral. I'm not making this up. It started out at the funeral, but it progressed to the Hilton's Kon-Tiki Lounge, and it has been one long date for 55 years. Coming full circle back to Rancho Bernardo, we are here today to recognize the really extraordinary contribution that Larry has made to our community. It is so extensive that it will take far more than one person to do that. So we have an array of dignitaries who are collaborating to say thank you, Larry. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our city councilman and president pro tem of the council, Mark Kersey. Mark has been working tirelessly to restore our city's infrastructure, particularly our streets, in spite of a sustained tight budget environment. He was first elected 4 years ago without opposition and re-elected last year in a landslide in the primary against opposition that those of us who worked in his campaign just chuckled about. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome City Council President Pro Tem Mark Kersey.
Well, thank you, Marty. My name is Mark. I'll be introducing the dignitaries. We got a couple over here. So I just want to, I'm just so happy to be here. I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to because it's budget season down at City Hall, which means that we're just in endless meetings. And so I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to make it up here, but I'm so happy that I could because this guy to my left here, he's such a good friend. And when I think about Rancho Bernardo, nobody personifies RB the way that Larry McIntyre does. And we all know all the groups. That's right. We all know all the groups that he's been involved with. I don't need to repeat them because you all know them. And it's pretty much every group in town this guy has played a role in. So we're all so fortunate to have been able to work with him on various projects throughout the years, and I just consider myself lucky that he's been a friend and a supporter, and we're all lucky for everything that he's done for Rancho Bernardo. So all that being said, I have a little proclamation here. And I'm not going to read all the whereases because we'd be here all night, but I will skip to the good part where it says, whereas Larry McIntyre's leadership within Rancho Bernardo is a shining example of community engagement and has left an influential legacy, now therefore be it resolved that I, Mark Kersey, councilman for the 5th District of the City of San Diego, do hereby proclaim May 16th, 2017 as Larry McIntyre Day in the 5th District of the City of San Diego. Congratulations, Larry.
Turn the thing around and hold it. Yeah. Let me get in here. Hold on, one more.
What it says, because there's a lot of good stuff on it. Sure.
Wait, it folded in the wait, hold it still.
All right, there we go.
That's good. Super. Thank you. Great. Thanks.
One more.
I'll go over here.
Thank you, Mark. Well, it's a great honor for me to introduce our Kennedy supervisor, Kristen Gaspar, she began her duties barely 4 months ago and brought with her a rich experience of the political system, having served as the youngest member of the Encinitas City Council and later as its very popular mayor. She is one of the rising stars of California politics today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Supervisor Kristen Gaspar.
Well, thank you very much. It really is a pleasure to be here this evening, and in true Kristen Gaspar style, I'll tell you a little bit of a story first. So I had the pleasure of listening to a gentleman by the name Drew Dudley a while back, and he brought forward a concept that I think is pretty interesting, and it ties back to Larry. And he basically told a story of when he was at university. And it was his last day at his university, and he was approached by a woman there. And she said, "I remember the first time that I met you 4 years ago." And he looked a little bit puzzled because he really didn't remember her all that well. And she went on to tell the story. She said, "It was actually the first day that I was at this university, and I was starting to panic. And my parents had driven me to college, and I started thinking I had made the wrong decision and I was falling apart. And my parents were so supportive. They said, 'Honey, look, registration is today, and if you could just get through the registration, fine. But if you can't, we'd be happy to take you home.'" And so she thought about it, and she thought, okay, I'll at least go to the registration. When she was there, she was standing in a long line, and all of a sudden it was clear to her that this was a gigantic mistake, that she couldn't do this, that she had made the wrong choice, and it was time to go home. And as soon as she turned to her parents to tell them about her decision, Drew Dudley walks out of the student union building wearing the most ridiculous hat that anybody can ever imagine. And he was carrying a giant bucket of lollipops with him in his hand, and he was advertising a charity and going down the registration line telling people about this charity. And when he got to her, he stopped, and she was standing next to another random stranger, and he turned to the man next to her in line. He held out a lollipop, and he said, "I want you to give this to the most beautiful woman in this line next to you." And this, just turned adult male turns and very shyly hands the lollipop to her in line without even looking in her direction, totally red. And then Drew turns to her parents and says, "See, it's the first day of college, and she's already taking candy from a stranger." And in every direction, people busted up. And it was at that moment that she knew she was in the right place. So when she finished telling this story, she said, "I heard today was your last day, and I couldn't let you leave this university without telling me that your actions that day made such an impact in my life. They made it very clear to me that I had made the right choice. I was in the right place. I was home. And so you probably don't even remember that day, but I want you to know because you've played an important part in my life." And she said, "And oh yeah, that guy that handed me the lollipop, you should know we're married." But the reason why this is so important is because you're all here for a reason. Because you've had a lollipop moment with this guy here. That he's made a dramatic impact in your life, or you wouldn't be standing here today. But when you think about it, there's someone like Drew who ran into the woman that day, and he doesn't recall that incident at all, has zero recollection of it ever happening, but yet it changed the course of her entire life. So when you think about it, think of all the people that Larry has touched that are not here tonight, telling you, thank you. You've impacted lives, you've changed lives, 40 years worth of changing lives, building those lollipop moments. And we're so proud to know you, I'm so thankful that I've gotten to know you and to be in the position where I am now, where I've come into your life too. But for every person that's here, there are so many more that are out there that you've made an impact in their life, and that will continue forever. It doesn't matter what title you hold. So thank you for your service. And I'm about to blow Mark Kersey out of the water because although it may be Larry's day in the district, in the city of San Diego, I am here today to proclaim this day to be your day throughout San Diego County. 3.5 million people in San Diego County. It's my pleasure to know you.
Wow. Okay,
You got it. Can you move this way just a sec? Larry's in the shade. Perfect. Now you're both in the sun. Thank you so much.
Okay, this way. I see a shadow. One more.
That's your head.
Got it.
Your head's the shade.
We'll take that one.
I gotta remember.
Well, the California State Assembly is in session, so our Assemblyman Brian Mainshine is in Sacramento tonight and could not be with us. But his Chief of Staff, Lance Whitmont, is here. And for those of you who are not aware of it, Lance is the son of our Bob Whitmont. Lance is a gentleman who engineered a successful campaign that Brian was running for president of their high school senior class a few years ago, and a little bit more hair ago, right? Yeah.
3 years ago.
And he fulfilled the same role in Brian's successful campaign for city council twice, and for the assembly twice. And I am sure that there are more campaigns to come. I certainly hope so. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chief of Staff Lance Whitmont.
Good evening, everyone. It's just a true pleasure to be here tonight with this guy. I'll tell you, it's really sad because Brian really wanted to be here. He is a huge fan of Larry's, as you know. But he did say, what I will tell you is that, Brian has some big shoes to fill, so he sent Big Rob with me. So between the two of us, we're pretty darn close to Brian. So.
Yeah, that's good.
But he is in Sacramento, and he also wanted me to show that there's over 2,000 bills this year. And if everyone has some time, he'd like me to share a little about each of them this evening. So I hope you have some time. We all for that?
Later. You're dark.
In all seriousness, Larry has been an incredible role model for both Brian and I, and a mentor. We met him very early on in Brian's first campaign for city council, and he was one of our first supporters and helped us get to the city council. So I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. What an incredible role model you are, not for just us, but of course for this community. I mean, look what you've done for this community. We are all grateful. Let's give him a round of applause. We're gonna miss him, but we know he's not going far. We're gonna see him on a regular basis.
Oh, yeah.
And Joyce, we're tasking you with taking good care of him, okay? All right. All right. And I've got a little something here. And we're going to have to one-up the county here, huh? In honor of all you've accomplished, I am pleased to declare May 16th is Larry McIntyre Day in the 77th Assembly District in the state of California. Signed Assemblymember Brian Mainshine.
Next is the world. Next one's the world.
First this one. Now this one.
Okay, this one.
Now me.
Thank you, Lance.
Line them up, baby. Line them up.
Congress is also in session. So our Congressman Scott Peters is in Washington trying to keep the country on a steady course, which seems to be getting more difficult as each day passes. Scott is in his third term. He won his first two elections by the narrowest of margins, and the last one by 57%. A testament to his tenacity, his bipartisanship, and his scholarly approach to legislation. Congress will be in recess shortly, and so will Scott. And he'll be speaking at the RB Rotary Club on June 1. If you'd like to hear him, he'll be there. Representing Scott today is Jason Bergovich, his field representative. Jason, would you come forward? And please welcome Jason.
I can guarantee that, just like Lance said, the congressman would definitely prefer to be here than where he's at right now. Never a dull moment, but I can assure you that he appreciates San Diego. But one thing that I would say is that it's nice being a graduate of RB High, and especially living in the neighborhood. It's amazing getting involved with the congressman and here in the community, and how many events I would go to, and just Larry kept popping up, and Larry kept popping up, and be like, you see Larry everywhere. And I'm like, this guy's everywhere. And then we get the note from Marty, hearing that he's finally taking a semi-break, but not complete break, because we all know that I don't think he has the ability of just taking a break. It seems like you're always going to be involved no matter what's going on. So it really is a pleasure just being here in the community and seeing everything that's going on. And just as everybody else has done, we have a nice little proclamation here as well. And I'll skip over all the whereas and whereas and whereas that we all have. But the main one I would say is whereas Larry McIntyre is blessed with the support of his wife, Joyce, 2 children and 2 grandchildren by his side. Now therefore be it resolved that on this day, the 16th of May, 2017, Larry McIntyre be honored on behalf of the constituents of the 52nd Congressional District of the state of California for his retirement and commitment to the community, which will inspire and benefit many future generations to come. So Larry, thank you very much on behalf of the congressman as well as on behalf of the entire community for everything that you've done, and take a break and please enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Do the traditional. You step slightly that way. Perfect.
The whole country, by the way.
Your head. See, your head. Hold still. Okay. Look this way.
We need more of you right now.
Anybody else?
Thank you, Jason. And now I'd like to invite our host for the evening, and for many evenings before this, Frank Nassari, of Unicorn Jewelry, to say a few words. I understand that Newt Gingrich has a $500,000 account with Tiffany. My $500,000 account is with Fred.
Oh, thank you.
Good evening, all. First of all, thank you all for coming. On behalf of myself, my family, I would like to welcome you all. Even Mother Nature loves Larry.
You're way shorter.
Even Mother Nature loves Larry. Larry, 36 years ago when I started here, I was a young guy and didn't know anybody. I'm quite sure for a lot of people in here. You and few others put your arm around me and my family. Every step of the way, you were there. I could call on you. You were the guidance that you don't never have any shyness to give me advice for any agenda. My family is here today because of people like you. You represent what many of us in entrepreneurial believe in, the community, and a great leader. And leadership is not by just telling people what to do, but being a shining example. And you have been that. Wherever you go, you have made your mark in this town. Many of us will go on with our lives, but will always be in our heart, in our soul. So wherever you go, you will always be in my family and my heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Craig Brown was the first president of the RE Business Association and guided us through a precarious period of growth. It was new territory for all of us. We didn't know whether it would be successful or end in failure, but we knew that our chances of success were greatly magnified with Craig at the helm. Please welcome Craig Brown.
Thanks, Marty. I agree with Fred. I started with Larry back in '82 at the Windy City Hot Dog Company. Who remembers the Windy City Hot Dog Company? Okay, I did some lease negotiations with Larry, and he pulled me into his little circle. Watched him with the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. He pulled me in. Watched him with the the Rancho Bernardo Community Foundation. Pulled me in. RBBA, yep, asked me to stand as first founding president of the Rancho Bernardo Business Association. You're amazing. You do a lot to bring our community together. The thing that is remarkable about Larry, and you may not think about it too much, but Fred kind of hit on it when he talked about family. Your charisma, your tireless energy. Has anybody ever heard Larry say no to a request? I don't think so. Larry's always first got to raise his hand and say, I'll do that. I can take that on. And what it does is it binds us together as a community, and it's inspired me to serve. I'm serving on 3 boards presently, and quite frankly, you're the kind of person that makes Rancho Bernardo a village instead of just another transient community. And I think we're all grateful for what you do for us just because of that. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you, Craig. Tony Kraft was just opening Cafe Merlot when Craig stepped down as president. Larry and I met with her at a restaurant and persuaded her to become our second president. She continued Craig's steady hand on the tiller, and the RBBA continued to prosper and grow. Please welcome Tony Kraft.
Thank you, Marty. Well, I'm honored to be here and standing side by side with you, Larry. The one thing that impressed me about Larry, and I think everybody knows that, is that he has vision. His vision is crystal clear. And the vision that he gave to us as fledgling board members to start out with the association was that what was good for the community is good for business, and if it's good for business, it's good for the community. That vision was contagious. It was a real pleasure to work with you side by side, as it is now. I don't think we will see you a little less, but our energy and our vision will be as crystal clear as the first day that we talked when you asked me to serve on that board and to carry on in Craig's great tradition and big shoes to fill, but we did it, and I'm glad, and I'm so happy for you, and a little envious for retirement, maybe. Maybe. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Tony. Larry followed Tony as president, serving 4 years, and I followed Larry. Our next president was Scott Lawn, who brought a new dynamic quality to the RBBA. Like Bob Wells before him, he was a natural salesman, and we signed up more members under Scott's tenure than any other. Before becoming president, Scott also showed us how to run a highly successful honorary mayor campaign, which he won easily. Please welcome Scott Long.
Thank you all for being here to honor Larry today. It's kind of hard for me to believe that we're not going to be working every day talking on the phone and all the things that we do here in the community, but I'm still going to bother you as often as I can. I've had the good fortune of an excellent business career, a great family, and I hadn't gotten involved in community give back until about 10 years ago. And I was lucky to have 3 mentors: Larry, Marty, and Bob Wells, who most of you know, or many of you know. So I was the 4th horseman in that group for quite a while, and I'll tell you what, it's been the best. It's been a ride. I'm going to get emotional, so I'm just going to give you a kiss and say goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Debbie Kurth followed Scott as president and currently serves in that capacity. While some of our volunteers have taken on a single project and some multiple projects, Debbie seems to have taken on all our projects simultaneously. She has been our preeminent volunteer since the day she became a member, and she quickly rose from treasurer to president Please welcome RBBA's indefatigable volunteer, Debbie Kurth. And you didn't think I could pronounce that, did you?
Thank you. I have to tell you, it is such a pleasure to stand up here with Larry McIntyre because he is the reason I think that I'm really here today. So I want to thank him and his family and everybody. I mean, this is just such a wonderful group, and it's not just the RBBA. As Marty and everyone else has mentioned, he has done so much for the community of Rancho Bernardo. So before we conclude with a presentation that we're giving him on behalf of the RBBA, we're going to bring up a couple of members from the Rancho Bernardo Community Foundation. I am privileged to be the current president of that right now, and I would like to bring up Trudy Armstrong, who is our liaison with the San Diego Foundation. And did Mike Stellman make it back? Right here. Oh my gosh, right in front of me. So Mike Stellman, who is one of the longtime board members of the Rancho Bernardo Community Foundation, the two of them would like to present something to Larry.
Thank you, Debbie. It goes without saying, Larry, that you are well deserving of all the accolades people have given you here. I'm one of the individuals I can proudly say, and I'm honored to say, that I've known you just about since the day you moved into town. Windy City Hot Dogs, he hired my daughter, her first job. Windy City Hot Dogs, she still has that greasy odor about her. Larry, I'm here on behalf of the Rancho Bernardo Community Foundation. We can't tell you how much we appreciate you and all that you've done. We can talk about many, many more things that you have done. I know personally you have helped me in business. You've helped me in my successes in business for since 1982. And I really appreciate the things you've done. But on behalf of the Rancho Bernardo Community Foundation, we want to honor you. We have a certificate here for you, a gift certificate at the end, which you and Joyce can really enjoy. But on the 23rd of September, we are going to honor you with your own personal plaque at the Pathway of Pride on behalf of the Rancho Bernardo Community Foundation, a small token of our appreciation for all that you've done. Thank you, Larry.
No, I just want to
She just wants a hug. I think enough said. Everybody's ready to go home.
Great. Now look at me, please. Thank you. Wow. Whoa.
Okay, we are drawing near to the end of this, but
the door
we
prize?
wanted to. Well, yes, there will be door prizes later. Okay, I can almost read this. All right. We have, on behalf of the Rancho Bernardo Business Association, we want to present this to you, Larry. And I am going to read it. It says, thank you. The Rancho Bernardo Business Association wishes to express its gratitude to one of the community's preeminent volunteers whose good works have spanned 40 years and touched thousands of lives. Not only co-founded the RBBA, but has been its driving force as its longest-serving president and its only executive director. He was founding director of the RB Chamber of Commerce, founder and first president of the RB Historical Society. Boy, you run out of breath here. Board member emeritus of the RB Community Foundation and president of the Spirit of the Fourth. For these and many other contributions, he has earned membership in the RB Hall of Fame and the undying gratitude of Rancho Bernardo community, presented on May 16th.
Got it good? First here. Make sure it's not reflecting right back. Tilt it slightly, please. Thank you. Reflect it a little bit more. Tilt it, angle it that way.
Perfect.
Rotate it. Rotate.
That's all right. You can't help it.
Okay, my turn.
I just have to add a comment. For those of you who are close enough to hear Larry Herring, he has turned into Larry taking pictures. Because the joke is that when Larry has taken pictures of us, it's a half-an-hour production, and Scott and I can attest to that. We will be giving away door prizes, but I just wanted to let everyone know we have a wonderful cake over where Nick is standing, and it has a congratulations to Larry, so I think all of you should have a piece of cake for that, and we thank you so very much for coming tonight.
Door prize? Door prize?
Larry is about to say a few words here.
Very few. Thanks to all of you up here for, it's beyond. Thanks to you, Marty. Thanks, Debbie. And I thanks to all of you, by the way. All of you have been important in my life. I'd like to bring up Joyce.
No, Joy.
No, I'm not gonna say great things about you like I usually do. She is my rock.
Yeah.
And my caregiver, probably forever, which I hope lasts for a long time, don't you? And we're gonna do a lot of traveling. We're gonna have a lot of fun, and I will always be a member of the RBBA. So we'll probably be here as many times as we can to the events. I doubt we'll miss many, so we'll see you all there. And thank you so much for coming.
Can we get a picture of all the dignitaries holding them out over here? One big group photo. What do you want with your grand?
Hey, get back to work. Hey, boy. You gotta go? We brothers. That's why we brothers. No, he's French.
This is cool. That was awesome. Yeah, for them.